Hey, it's Dr. Wilyonson. This is the best part of my job is getting to debrief with folks like my friend Joel here today. Been through a lot of stuff, fighting the VA, the system, was in the military a long time. And, I think it's a good time to really share people's stories, their journey with the VA, not just VA disability, but really use this as an opportunity to spread hope and let everybody know that, there's a big community out here that wants to help people. Semper Solutus is really the tip of the spear in how we do that. So it's really a great opportunity to share what we do and what we do for individuals. So without further ado, Joel, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, my name's Joel Olague. Um, Here living in North Carolina. Uh, been separated from the military for going on 2 years. Spent 15 years inside of the military. Um, did a lot of uh, was it low speed, high drag, or vice versa? So
One way or the
spent
other,
time.
brother. It all
Yeah,
feels kind of like a drag after a while. You know what I mean?
exactly. But yeah,
So the background with me and Joel a little bit is that I knew Joel for a time in the military. Got stationed at Cherry Point together. Tell him what you did because I thought your job was super cool as a PMT and kind of what how
yeah.
we cross paths with the medical and corpsman world. Like, why don't you kind of tell that story? I think it's cool what you do.
Yeah, so when you're a corpsman through and through. I ended up doing 8 years about as a quad zero 8404 corpsman with the Marines. Ended up doing a specialty as a PMT or preventive medicine technician, focusing mainly on public health stuff. So doing water tests, epidemiology, tracing. Anytime that they needed someone to go inspect the the food, we'd go in there and do that stuff. So yeah, doing all that type of stuff.
What you
Anything
mean
doing,
the food's got to be inspected in the military, man? Oh, I'm sure
yeah.
that was fun. My one of my fondest memories, Joel, is we were doing a debt down south of Yuma, and I mean south of Yuma,
No,
Arizona, in the heat of the summer. So basically, I think it was August time frame, more or less,
yeah.
in September while we were there, and it was fresh out of the co or in the COVID era, and so it was kind of a big deal because nobody was doing anything, and we kind of rogered up and decided, hey, our unit's going to do this training exercise and support it down at Ox 2. And I'm telling y'all, like, I'm just a measly little, doctor working in a hospital, orthopedics, trauma. I always wanted to do like, forward deployed, cool, like damage control orthopedics. Never got the chance to really do it. I guess that's a good thing since the hot wars are kind of starting now. But we were in 125-degree sustained heat, and this little boy from Tennessee wasn't used to that. And I remember Joel would go out and like testing, the water buffaloes and everything. And it was so cool. We'd meet at the smoke pit and just kind of talk about what we did. So I got to know him on a personal level before. And he's a great guy. And, I remember detail. How many hours did we sit at the smoke pit on our phones, calling our family, friends,
Oh my gosh.
the stuff we were going through? And trust me, y'all, like everybody's worst day is their own worst day, to borrow a Joe Rogan ism. But it's very true. And we just commiserated together. So we grew up on in a friendship with that. And you got to understand, as the medical officer, I was everybody's doctor too. So, trying to be fair to everybody and I treat everybody the same. But like I got to know Joel real well and I got to know his story while I was in. And, I think that's important because the way I try to treat people and have treated people, even people that weren't as cool as Joel and like kind and maybe trying to game the system or just even dare I say the dirt bags. I always try to treat people well because you never know the real struggle people go through with the system and the military. And I think we both had our own unique trouble within the military that made our lives very different. And, a quick plug to everybody out there, just because you didn't see combat necessarily, and Joel saw more combat than me, doesn't mean you can't struggle. You can have hard times, and obviously, recent events on some of the forward deployed carriers and ships out, in the Gulf right now. People are struggling. So I've seen a little bit of backlash at some of those guys, and like, oh, you didn't have as hard as we did. And like, I get it. Being tough is really the goal. Obviously, join the military, go fight and die for your country, but that being said, like, we still have to be empathetic to people, right? And that's where I come in because I'm not Mother Teresa. I'm nothing special, but God gave me a path where I had some extra struggle, and it really changed my perspective on the system, how it works, and the people, and the impact it has when people are struggling. So we kind of went our separate ways. I got pushed over to Lejeune a little bit, and I was basically, I joke about it. I was like the doctor's doctor at Lejeune. I was the PCM with a big ortho background for 2,500 people at the hospital. So I was the corpsman's doctor, the nurse's doctor, and the doctor's doctor. Well, that wasn't very fun. So that was my last couple years because everybody thought they were a VIP, and it was being in the MTF. If you haven't experienced that, is awful. But we crossed paths a little bit here and there. We actually live pretty close to each other. Yet here we sit on a screen like we're strangers. But the truth is that we both got out of the military in somewhat similar time frames. I think I got out a little before, um, but really, I just kind of wanted to get your, sharing your story about as you left the military, even the 6 months before, filing your claims, getting your records. What was your experience with DOD and the VA? And even if you want to talk about administrative stuff, tell me kind of the burden and what that felt like to you.
Oh man, so I didn't really do for as far as like dealing with the VA and all that type of stuff. Like I didn't even try to do any of that stuff while like I was in. Like I was going through a grueling and painful just administrative process at that point. And I was going through stuff like emotionally and just it was taking a toll on me. So I didn't even deal with any of that stuff. I didn't file any of that stuff. Um, I didn't actually file until a year after I had separated, really. And then just the hoops that you have to jump through just to get to like the VA, it's not really well laid out trying to like file stuff. Like it was like kind of confusing at first. And then you're trying to figure out like, okay, like what actually is like what's wrong with me? Like what are those little things that like are actually bothering me? Well, like this hurts. Well, did that happen in the military? So I started like going through all that type of stuff and questioning and just really just trying to narrow down like all my ailments and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a time consuming process.
Yeah, it's time consuming, and especially if you haven't had any experience in it, it's overwhelming. And I'll
Yeah.
speak to my experience. I was in the military active duty for over 10 years, did reserves for 4, so 13, 14 years in total. I was in the medical system. I was in subspecialties, I was in primary care, I was in operational units, and I got to see the disability process kind of by proxy. I knew nothing about it. So for everybody out there, I can commiserate with you. Even as the doctor, they don't teach us this stuff. They don't help us help sailors and Marines and soldiers get through this, right? Like it's not trained to us. There were med boards, and I came on board at Cherry Point, MWSS 274. I'm in, and I assumed, I think we had 700, 800 people to start in that unit, maybe less, maybe 600, something like that. And I had this list of the med board list, right? Pending limb. There was a limb due list, which was a lot longer, limited duty. And then there was the med board list. And my turnover was pretty piss poor from my predecessor. And we won't say names or anything like that, but she didn't care. Right. So I came in, and it's like, well, should I care about this? Or is this just another green, red PowerPoint spreadsheet? Does it matter? Like readiness. I get readiness, like I'm trying to help my triad. But what does this really mean? And so within a couple weeks, sat down with a couple of the guys on the med board because as the physician, as when you're actually the medical officer of a unit, you have to basically make determinations on their path and give them updates or give the triad updates on where is this person in the process. And I caught wind of that very quick because I had good leadership. I will say that. However, they were not very friendly to people stuck in limbo, right? And so a med board takes over a year, which is ridiculous. So DOD, Navy, UMed, like, come on, like, it's ridiculous. Get the people out if they're ready to get out. But it was this long, arduous process. You got to go to the board. You got to do the IDES system, and that was all alphabet soup to me. So it's probably alphabet soup to most people, but that always gives me cause and pause for concern. Is that I probably should know everything about this because I realized that as their primary care doctor, their medical officer, I had a lot of control over how well they did at these boards. And I realized that if somebody was not able to do something, let's say it was their knee, for example, they're on limited duty, they initiate a med board for this person, and they go through this long, arduous process of basically legal, medical, and administrative all had an evil baby hybrid. That's what the med board process was. And I just saw it for what it was is that the packages that were sent to BUMED and sent up by the command were shit. They were like empty shells, copy pasted notes, no coherence to them. And some of these people, and because again, some of these people had already gone through, I was just receiving them back. They got screwed, right? Maybe had something kind of wrong with their knee, but big Navy and its infinite wisdom would say, nope, they're fit for full duty. Well, what happens if somebody is deemed fit for full duty after a med board and they still can't do it? They get admin sucked, right? That's a big fucking deal. I didn't truly understand that until I got an operational unit, and it just it struck me wrong, and maybe it was because of the things I had seen and gone through myself, and, you know, I learned about that stuff on my own through people I knew and myself, and I was like, "Well, I'll be damned if I ruin this person's life because I was too lazy to help them," right? And again, it was like the thing in front of my plate. I'm an orthopedic surgeon trapped in the GMO world, and it was like, that's one thing I can do that's pretty good. So I learned how to collect evidence, build evidence, all truthful evidence, right? And there was no gaming of the system. If they needed a consult for neurology and they rated it, by God, I figured out how to get it done in, 6 weeks, which in the military is pretty quick, right? But you got to be able to advocate for your sailors and your Marines. So to all the medical officers out there, if you're listening to me, maybe by chance, like I'm talking to you, like do better. I know you can. You should prioritize that, not just your off time and your liberty. Like, I'll digress and come back, but you can do a lot of harm to people by just being lazy and kicking the can down the road because there's a real impact. So I saw it, and then I learned that system. So even though with doing that, right, people would then thank me 6 months later, they're already out of the military. A couple people sent me, Joel, like some Buffalo Trace and like bourbon. Everybody knew I kind of liked a little bit of bourbon. And so a couple of them sent me like Christmas cards. And it was like, that made me feel so good. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't even about the gift. It's that they actually sought me out and said, thank you. Like, that meant a shit ton to me. And so I realized like I'm doing the right thing, kind of fighting the system with truth in their favor. And that's my kind of villain, if you want to say it, origin story or hero origin story, depending on how you look at it. But that's the truth. And even with all that knowledge of that system, when it came to my VA claim, got out of the military and I remember going, was it called TAPS? Is that what they called it? Or like the capstone, like the
Yeah,
last,
yeah. So it's TRS.
change the
So
name, of course, just so they
yeah,
don't get
but
dirt.
yeah, taps and then capstone is your last like week or day or whatever.
Right. And so that was like, you know, again, I was pretty militarized, but I wasn't prior enlisted. I tried to be as, reasonable blue collar as possible because that's kind of who I am. But like I didn't know all the acronyms and how this works and like orders to get out. And like I knew nothing about it. So I was nervous about it. So for all the people nervous about VA claims and getting out, like you should be because that timeline is super important. And even me having known all about the med board system, it was super confusing. And at my capstone, TAPS, TRS, whatever they want to call it now, screw job system, they spent, I swear to God, I clocked it. You think I'm kidding? I literally on my watch clocked it 8 minutes on VA disability. And in those 8 minutes, it was a guy who wrote an address on a board and basically said, get your medical records. Like they'll have, your medical records will be given to you. That's also not true. You'll get some of your medical records, and then go to the VSO on base here at Camp Lejeune. And I'm like, okay, copy that. I need to talk to this, go to this person, right? And I did that. And then when I looked at my records, stuff was missing from prior commands and stuff.
Mm.
And I didn't really care. It's like, I was so ready to get out and going through it that I saw it. And then I saw the VSO side and it was like, this is a joke, dude. But I didn't know. It's like we all get told, just trust the process. Trust the process, get in line, don't ask too many questions, and you're incentivized because you get to get out of the military, right? So I was so eye opened and I kind of saw the connection between the med board, VA, DOD, BUMED system. And it is a system and there's lots of money at play. And I realized that for the people that reached out to me saying, I'm getting paid $4,000+ tax free now, thanks to, you somewhat in helping me do this. So I realized like, wow, that's awesome. Like that's a big deal. So, I saw it for what it was, but it's a overwhelming and daunting system. So when you got out, you didn't do the BDD claim window, which for everybody out there is it's the 180 days before your EAOS, before you get out of the military.
Mm.
And in those 180 days, you basically get to front load your VA claim process, right? And you have to do it between 180 and 90 days. And the BDD claim, that's the Benefit Delivery at Discharge program, worked pretty well for me. But I was on top of it, right? I got access to medical records, legally, but I could go to the front desk and say, hey, can I have all this stuff medical records wise? And, it worked out in my favor, but I knew a lot of people weren't doing that. And so, Joel, like you didn't get to do that program because you were too overwhelmed with what you had going on. So
I didn't even know about it.
there you go. Right. So for everybody out there, you're at an advantage if you do the BDD program while you're still in, hypothetically, because it's kind of automatically service connected. Doesn't mean they will service connect everything, but if you're making the claim and you have the stuff, it's kind of harder to say it's not service connected. So if you get out and then just do a regular claim, first time claim, that's where the fuckery comes in. And, that's what I saw with a lot. Now I've seen tens of thousands of RDLs, and I look at the situation. I'm telling you, if you can do a BDD claim, you should. So let's talk to everybody about talk to me about your first claim. What'd you claim? How'd it turn out for you? What use a VSO? What'd you do?
Oh man. So no, I didn't use a VSO when I started my first claim. I did not use a VSO. I just something told me just to like, hey, like everybody that you're talking to or your some of your friends in are telling you about claiming some VA stuff. And I already had some like ailments from before and they were kind of bothering me. So I was like, you know what? Let me just shoot my shot and try it myself. Went on va.gov because that's where you do all your filing. Um, Going through the process of just next, click here, click there. What's wrong with you? Upload this, upload that. Um, I guess what did I claim? I claimed stuff for some knee pain, pain in my wrist, pain in my neck, um, some mental health, some there's a few more other things on there. Took a while for it to come back. Um,
Went to CMP exams, I assume, and did all that
yeah, yeah.
rigmarole.
So look, once I like got the stuff like uh submitted, they scheduled me with emails or phone calls or text messages saying, we got you set up for CMP exams. You'll go in on this place. You can't reschedule. You can only reschedule once. If you do, went there. The people there, I really feel like they're just there, just checking boxes. Um,
And they are literally. And so there's a big debate and there's been a shift in the VA world. I'll get a little nerdy with you. That CMP exam network, you might call it a mafia. There's very good people in there and there's also very not good people in there. But the people over them, there's companies. I'm telling you guys, this is like the corporate government cabal. And like I think about this stuff a lot and maybe I'm biased, but it's true. Prove me wrong. The companies that own, and I won't say any of their names because I don't want to get sued or anything like that. But what I have seen, in my opinion, is that they have a system that is designed to kind of bottom feed. When you go to those exams, even if it's a specialty exam, I'm telling you, and again, I didn't walk in as a arrogant, I'm a physician and like, tell me your credentials. Like I walked in as Matt, Lieutenant Commander Matt. You know what I mean? Like that was it. Because I think it's just distasteful to be like that, be arrogant. But I'm telling you, these people were not qualified to be doing what they were doing. and
Yep.
it was kind of embarrassing, right, on them and the system. And the reason I say it's a cabal because there's a lot of money getting paid to these private government contract companies to then hire on the cheap nurse practitioners. Again, to all my nurse practitioners, I follow nurse practitioners that are awesome CMP examiners. So please don't take this as a slight or to my PAs. One of my best friends is a badass department head, orthopedic PA, like a leader of the actual surgeons too. So this is not an all-inclusive statement, but they find the cheapest units to execute those DBQ forms at those CMP exams. So I said there's a shift because for a while, some of these private like claim shark companies would be gaming the system and trying to bypass the CMP exam. Well, the VA caught on to that because, how if you're doing the same thing, everything over and over again and templatizing stuff, they should stop that kind of shit. But it still doesn't solve the problem that the actual CMP exam process is skewed. So going into a CMP exam without documents already in hand, if you're going to a CMP exam hoping that wonderful provider, hopefully keep your fingers crossed, is going to diagnose you with something that you think you have or maybe you did. If it's not in your records, you're kind of up shit creek without a paddle because the way that they do these checkbox DBQ forms, they have to answer honestly. And if there's no record of your document, being diagnosed and documented in your records, they have to say, no, nothing is documented. So they may not screw you, but they will inadvertently screw you because they don't have the records they need. And then the other part of it is, and so they still get to make their opinion, right? Like if somebody has, severe depression, well, that person can say, this person has severe depression, and I think it's more likely service connected. But if you go in with and that's the nexus, the link, right? The link to service, nexus. So everybody knows nexus letters and that stuff. Like I'm not going to talk down to the audience because if you're listening this far in, you know what a nexus is and a nexus letter. Well, not all nexus letters are created equal. And that's kind of the point is that even those DBQs can have nexus statements, right? But you can't templatize it, right? The VA gets all over that, right? Like you got to make a real argument, like you're in court, like you're at a DRB, like you're at a court martial, like sincerely. You've got to really establish the history, the incidents, the symptomatology, the diagnostics, and then the impact, the functional impact. And then at the end, if you're good, you got to use case law. You got to use 38 CFR details. And you got to make your case for the veteran. Because otherwise, if you don't have that, you're expecting a CMP examiner and maybe a rater reviewer whose job is to be scrutinous to rule in your favor. And so people wonder, like, how is that not service connected? And I agree with you, but that's the name of the game and that's the table we're at with them. So it's ridiculous to expect an outcome that isn't likely, right? This shouldn't be luck. This should be evidence and documented. So I'm ranting because there's a big misinformation campaign by the VA. Again, this is my opinion, by the CMP companies who are government contractors in bed with the VA, by the DOD, by the big money pots in the government, the bureaucrats. And there's also a problem in the private industry and the law firms because they know this, right? The back pay model, draw things out forever. Like it's crooked everywhere. So here we are, veterans and folks, trying to just get things adjudicated that we've earned, that the government says, oh, you're going to get this if this. And there's sharks everywhere in the water, every direction. So I like to consider my organization and the people I work with, the multiple, people I work with, and myself as an individual as the orca. Like I eat claim sharks, I eat the system because I'm sick and tired of seeing lies and bureaucracy in this kind of like it's just like a C grade casino, right? The house always wins and the rules always change and it's just a scam. And I'm tired of seeing that. So that's what I do, and Semper Solutus does is prepares for the actual fight that you're going to experience. There are no shortcuts, right? So you got your rating back. What do you recall what your actual rating was your first pass through yourself?
Yeah, so luckily I made it a point to get my medical records before leaving the military. So
Smart
they had
man.
everything on for me on a digital disc, so I was able to use that in my submission for my claim. And then when it all came back, I have the luxury and knowledge of being medical, so I was could speak rather a little bit more smartly than most other people could. So I think that kind of helped a lot. But when it came back, I believe it was 60% at first, and then I had one claim that was deferred, and it came back like a few weeks later, and it bumped me to 70. So that was at 70 for a very long time. And
Right. So when you're at 70 and, again, I take pride in that because, some of those records, I was your MO, but if I recall, like most people and, maybe not speaking to you exactly, like hardworking guys like Joel didn't come to medical to complain. He was a corpsman. He got it. Like, I'm just going to do my job. Like, the last thing I want to do is be around the other corpsmen and like didn't want to be a burden. Right. We all, like, good people do that. So when you look at records in the military, a lot of it is just, PHAs, vaccine records, you know, PHRAs, like PDHRAs, all the stuff like that you're required to do, probably very little real healthcare except for the stuff that's serious, right? But that doesn't mean that the moderate stuff didn't exist, right? And that's where knowing the law, which I do, you don't need to be a lawyer to know and use the law, right? Like sometimes you need a lawyer to do certain things, very rarely in the VA disability system. And I work with lawyers, great people, and I'm glad they're advocating for their guys. But without the medical records and the summary statements and the independent medical opinions and somebody that knows the system, it's not going to work. So they come to us. They come to me, right? Because they need the critical element. At least the smart ones do, and I'm happy to do that. But the reality is that you know, without knowing what to do next, I think it's the VA's business model to make people stall and never come back. Be happy with your 70%, Olage, and we'll see you never, right? So tell me what happened between 70% and when you came on board with Semper Solutus. What
uh,
changed? What happened? How'd we get here?
so so once I got my 70%, it was okay, here's your whatever the payout is, and nothing. Like I
What do
didn't
you
hear
think
any.
what do you think it was? Was it like 1,800 bucks, $2,000? What was it? Do you
Uh,
recall?
I believe it. Yeah, I think it's like 1800.
Yep.
So like with a spouse and a kid, and so it's a less if you don't have any of that.
Yeah. Not enough to
Uh,
live on. Not in
no,
2025, 2026.
no. And what's crazy is like, even before like I put in my claim, like I didn't know anything about like the VA like benefit system. Like you're right, like they barely talk about it in the TAPS class and all that. So I was just out here just shooting my shot. That was it. So got the claim back, and then I was like, okay, cool. I got some money coming in. I was just happy to get anything at that point because I was working, and then I got let go from my job, and then I was up, shit's creek, and trying to figure out like what am I going to do next for a job, and then uh, you had just like happened to call me or like message me or something, and it reminded me that like, wait, you do this for a living. So I got it. So I shot you a message, and then you shot me some information from one of your guys, and because of me knowing like you and like what type of like person you are off rip, just type of person, and then you as like a medical professional, like I knew like I felt confident in you and your services and all that. So, and then like pay your friends. Like like I'm a big like
Absolutely.
let's support each other. Like this whole give me a freebie type of thing is crazy to me.
I
But
get that a lot, and honestly, I'm probably the worst businessman doctor ever. I'm actually not. I got an MBA, but the truth is that if I can help people I know or like sad stories or hard things, like I'll do it. Because again, like I think you either believe in karma or you believe in the golden rule or you don't, and I certainly do, right? And like Christ is a real person, a real thing in my life. And so
amen,
how can I be a believer if I really don't try to help people? There's nothing worse than a hypocrite. And that's a Jesus fundamental pillar, right?
amen,
So to me, it's like that's pretty important to me. But I agree with you. Like I've got some friends, like, I got one of the hats sitting back here is my buddy's, upstart marketing campaign for something called Yeti to Eat. So Brian Farquhar, I'm repping Yeti to Eat. Like as soon as the app comes out, I'm buying it. I want the pro version. You know what I mean? Like, and Joel's right. And so I appreciated that. And like from back when we served together, like I was a little bit of a different kind of doc, right? Like I shot people straight, no nonsense. I'm on your side, but I'm honest. Like I'm not a pushover. It's very easy to get the green lieutenant. And I mean, I was a little older and a little grayer. I mean, obviously, and I got a white beard, didn't have that in service, but
No.
you know, I shot the shit. I told the truth, right? I'm not messing around. Like, don't fuck with me and try to manipulate me or butter me up. Like, just be real. And so I didn't change, right? And that's why I didn't really fit well in the Navy because I called a spade any direction with respect. But some people don't like the truth.
No.
So the truth, like, the way I see it, is correct me if I'm wrong, but if you hadn't known me and like how I roll, so to speak, how I operate,
Oh,
there's
I would have
no
been.
way you would have. What would you have done, honestly?
I don't even know. I don't even know if I would have like continued or trying to pursue like any increase or anything. I think I would have just been accepted the $1,800 and just been happy and just, well, I wouldn't say happy, but just okay with whatever I was getting at the time.
Yeah,
And
because they
like,
make it miserable to go back through,
yeah, like
right?
I don't want to be dealing with people who are just going to be shutting me down just because they can.
Absolutely. It takes a toll. And I joke with people about this. I literally said this to somebody earlier today. One of my mentors was catching up with me and we were talking, and former Navy captain who I'm helping out too. Because again, I think it's all about organic. It's not just about ads and stuff too. But I treat strangers just like I do my mentors and my buddies. And I said, if you have if you don't have a big mental health issue before VA disability claims, then this is a joke. You're gonna have some anxiety and some anger and depressive issues and some PTSD from the system after your claims, because they make it ridiculous. It's like idiocracy played out with claims. And like that's just my opinion, but like that's how I feel about it. Cause if you look at the details, it's like this system is a joke, right? So, and I don't say like, oh, you'd be, stuck at 70% if it wasn't for me. I don't say it with that intent of like, thank me. It's you got kind of lucky, right? Because I like to talk to my people, check on people that I know probably need some help to do this. And so a lot of people don't know me, right? Or I don't know them. So they're skeptical. They're skeptical of the system, which they should be, skeptical of companies, which they very much should be. And they kind of fall in this either, in my opinion, some people will use random companies. I guess to the person listening out there, Semper Solutus is just some random company. And I would say bullshit, right? Because nobody thinks and talks like I do and my team does because we have a different kind of mission. But most people fall into the either I'm going to go with a lawyer or I'm just going to do VSO. And unfortunately, that's kind of a screw job either way. VSO is kind of like a lottery, right? They're not going to coach you. They're not going to really obtain documents with you that you need. They're not going to give you strategy because if you think about it, and I'll say this with the law firms too, opinion, but pretty founded in facts is when you're an accredited agent or an accredited law firm or an accredited VSO, boy, that makes you sound so much higher and mightier and great for people. I've got news for everybody out there. That's not a good thing, usually, right? It makes things easier. They can file for you. They're, on the list. The VA approves this person. Is that a good thing? Right? Do you want somebody that has to follow rules? Because to be accredited, you have to sign the blood oath. Not going to tell people what they should do, not going to really help them procure evidence independently, right? Some of those companies and law firms do the right thing and kind of just, you might want to do this, but I don't believe in like innuendo and like under your tongue. Like people should advocate for the truth of their conditions. And, there's a lot of crooked veterans out there too. They're trying to lie and inflate symptoms and doctor hunt and nexus letter shop. That's bullshit just the same way, in my opinion. Some people aren't going to get 100% PNT. Most can because I've seen 20,000 people in my life that are active duty or veterans now, probably more than that, at least talk to them. And, you should at least try. And the law firms are kind of the natural, like, I'm gonna like invest in this outcome. But the law firms, they're required to do a back pay system. And that sounds great. You mean no money up front? Like, you go to a used car salesman, like, they love to sell you a no money up front, 33% interest usury type loan, right? Like, with a lemon behind it. And again, there's good law firms out there. I work with great law firms, big law firms, medium ones, small, like independent law firms. They're great people, but they recognize the limitations because they're working with me. And I'm not saying just because they work with me, but they get it. Some of these the big name ones, and I'm sorry, y'all, like this is the truth, is they're incentivized at the minimum. There's a bias. Now, you can't prove they're doing this. It's impossible, and I wouldn't try, but they get paid based on your back pay, right? So wouldn't they naturally, just using basic logic, like logic 101, they want to delay and make your back pay as big as possible, right? So they want to get you to a board of appeal, which is their big ticket, because then they can send a lawyer in and charge you for that and take even more off. But even for the non-board appeal ones, which is like no one needs to go to a board, 99.9%, the higher level review, all that stuff. They're just delaying, at least there's a bias to, and making that back pay go from what, maybe a $30,000 to a $70,000 payout. Well, that sounds great, right? My back pay. You were going to get that the whole time. You make no more money. You had to wait 2 years extra on average. Just telling you, I've seen it. And then they're going to take 20 to 33%, whatever the VA allows them to take, right? So tell me why that makes sense and why that's a good thing, right? Now I get it. Like money up front, that kind of, you get scared. Who are these people? Those things. I'm a believer in you get what you pay for as long as you follow through. And that's what, I'm a part of here at Semper Solutus is I'm going to shoot you straight from the sales team to the onboarding specialist, to the medical team that helps prepare it, to me and the other providers, to the filing education systems. We're not going to mess around with you. We're going to do the right thing, with speed and precision, right? But the goal is really to try to impact change because the law firms don't have the power to do it. They're not doctors. You're missing medical evidence. You're missing real nexus rationales for every condition, not just one letter for one condition. The law firms will go pick one or two of your conditions and they'll say, hey, we're going to get this independent contractor doctor of ours, not talking about me. And they'll just go get some Joe Schmo, some nurse practitioner, maybe a doctor. And then they'll say, you know, per condition, it's going to cost, $800, $1,500, $500. Well, what if you have 30 conditions? You need nexus arguments behind each of those and medical, legal, administrative arguments behind all of them. You're not going to get it because guess what? The law firm is going to pass that buck on to you. They're going to make you pay out of pocket in addition to the no money down. So it's a trap, y'all. Maybe your law firm will cover it for you, but trust me, they're taking it out of the back end in addition to your percentage. So again, I'm ranting, but people are getting hoodwinked from even good companies because they don't do the math and they just don't understand the industry or the systems, right? You can do your own claims by yourself with a VSO for free. No one should charge you to file claims. That is bullshit, right? And a lot of these AI tech companies, and they're really cool. They got awesome interfaces. It's like, whoa, like you took Claude and went to new levels, like Fable 5, and what's the new one? I can't remember. Like, that can hack anything, right? All you're doing is you're giving a stranger your medical records, PII, all that stuff. Maybe it's safe, maybe it's not. Maybe they're, less tech and use ChatGPT. And all they're doing is inputting it in and telling you how to claim it, right? And so then what do? You go to a VSO and you claim it. Like you could have done that yourself, right? Like in today's world. So no offense to those kind of guys, like they're all front heavy, marketing and, going to Red Rocks and all the things. What are these guys like? God bless them, but like you're not the deliverables. And then you got the independent doctors who just charge one at a time and charge 1,000 bucks a piece, which you need it, but then what's the strategy? So you got to use two companies, right? And then you need a filer, so then you got to use a VSO. But I say all that to say this is that the filing part, if you actually have some education behind it and have somebody kind of hold your hand and educate you, not file it for you should do your own filings. And I would advise most people don't even use a VSO, do it yourself. Study up yourself, like go on YouTube. And that's what we do, but it's not YouTube. We have a system and a program called the Nexus program where we are going to teach you. You're going to hate us because we're going to educate you. You're going to be so annoyed with all the stuff you learn, and we're going to hold you accountable and we'll help you, but it's you. You need to do the claim. You need to be the one to be the final check range, say, yep, that's everything, and click the send. Because then you have ownership of the process and you know it, right? So again, I'm ranting, but let's talk about your experience when you came onto Semper. And I've talked about these different entities. Tell me what kind of we did and where you saw the value, I guess, is the best way to open-ended ask that.
So I came on to Semper and immediately I was contacted by one of your reps and called me and just was very upfront about like what you guys do. Um I never like I felt like I've known him for like 10 years. So it was like very easy, just good relationship. Um there was, I mean, you guys essentially just like held my hand through the entire process of, you know, like what are your ailments? What have you already claimed? What is in your record that like you haven't even thought of to claim? So putting all that stuff together and then, you know, walking me through that submission process is a whole nother beast in its own. So, it's like that goes back to the whole like saying of like give a man a fish or teach a man how to fish.
You can
And
live his life. That's right.
that's invaluable. It's like that's for me, that was
Well,
the most
it's not.
value.
I feel, and I am biased, right? There's my bias is that I know what we do is different than other, claim sharks. Some people might call us claim sharks. We're not. We're orcas. I'm telling you, we eat the other sharks. We're not law firms. We're not accredited. We don't want to be accredited because we want to tell you the truth, right? I don't want to be accredited. That's bullshit. But what we do is not a shortcut. It's faster for sure to get your results. But we do a partnership with our clients, right? We're all adults, or we presume everyone's adults, and we treat you like one. There are things that, to steal the Jerry Maguire line, I literally sent this as a gift today, Joel, is help me help you, right? It's not because I don't know what needs to be done. I need you to do what I need you to do so that when I'm ready to deliver 30 Nexus opinions in a 50-page document from Dr. Wilyonson, an MD, former military, that I can legally and logically and medically make that argument for all your conditions that we want to claim, that you want to claim. People come to us, it's like, well, what should I claim? Like, what do you mean? What should you claim? What are your symptoms? Right? Like, you think you're just going to show up and then we're going to like hand you this secret button and then you're going to be at 100% and bypass the system? This isn't Willy Wonka land. Like, come on, guys and ladies. Like, you have to have input on the process. And you know, we have a robust education system, like to teach you the stuff, but it goes beyond education system and handholding. We have built out, and maybe I shouldn't tip the cards of how we do this very well, but we have a proprietary that I made system of screening forms and RFIs. I'm going to extract the information from you and people if you just answer the questions in your own words. Like, be long winded. Tell me about all the bad shit. Write it down. It sucks. It's not fun. The onboarding at Semper Solutus is hard. And it's hard because it works. So, so the people that don't have the ability to type, don't have the ability to have a partnership and input and communicate and really put effort towards their claims, we're probably not the best fit for you. I can still give you a letter and it's going to be better than any other Nexus letter based on what your records say, but we're missing stuff there. So I take pride in the highest quality. We'll still take you on board. We're going to shoot you straight. You need to do this, but I've had a couple people over the years working with other companies, and not really any here because we have a real high standard, and we'll push you to do it. You may not like us at that moment, but um, you give me 100 pages of records, like, yeah, we'll write the best letter we can, but I want all your records. I want 3,000 pages. I want you to fill out these other 100 pages of documents, because if you do, and then we get this letter before you go to that CMP exam, I've done the math on it and the stats. Y'all may not believe me out there, and Joe, you may not believe me. I don't really believe myself, but I swear on the Bible, swear on my kid's life, every single person who has gone through the Semper Nexus program, every single one has gotten an increase. Knock on wood. There's going to be something sometime. Somebody's going to get denied for everything, and we're going to have to fight the VA, and we'll get it fixed. No one has been flat out denied for everything yet. We've taken tons of people to 100% already. It's kind of scary because we're getting good at it. Like, but it's all personalized. There's no template. The Nexus letter isn't something that's in a Word document or just chat GPT'd. Like, promise you, we keep your data safe. We have the system in place that I'm telling you, nobody can compete with us. So challenge us. So can you speak to that? Like, what did you have to physically and actually do? You pay money to Semper Solutus, Doc's
Oh,
company. What
yeah.
did you have to do?
So once I got contacted by one of your reps, I was sent over forms of like, you know, what are you trying to claim, and then tell us your story. And the hard part about that is like having to revisit a lot of those experiences that you kind of want to forget, or you kind of forgotten, but then you like have to like fill these forms out. So then it brings up some memories that you kind of suppressed. And that was very hard for me, like, or just having to like sit and really like pick apart like almost like your every day for, I mean, I did 15 years, so just having to go through that time process and just all the little times I was out in the field and jumping off these trucks and all of it, just dealing with some of the things I saw. And a lot of the stuff, like at being military, you get suck it up, keep pushing, keep moving on, and it becomes your norm. And I'm here to tell you that it's not a norm. It's not a norm. Like there's a lot of things that like have affected a lot of people, and like we just accept it because that's the name of the game. And going through that process of just filling out these forms, letting you like being able to like talk to your reps like almost at like the drop of a hat. Like I was able to reach out over
Yep.
text message and just be like, hey, I got a question about this, what about that? And I was always like answered at least within a day, if definitely less than that though, for sure.
Yeah,
And
and, the thing is like, we don't wanna create a victim culture, so we're not those people. Anyone in my company, like, we're not the, like, "Let's get the violin out and kinda wax into this stuff," like, we don't do that because I think it's unethical, and that's what Semper Solutus is about always a solution, that's what the company means, but we're gonna provide those solutions with reality. You don't need to lie, you don't need to go too far, you just tell the truth, and that's what I'm here to tell people is that you probably rate more than you think you do, and you don't have to play any games. You don't have to play games with us, right? Like when you talk to your lawyer, like if you're in trouble or going through a divorce, like you should tell your lawyer everything. They're going to ask you, like, give me everything. Don't leave anything out. Don't, half tell me, like, you need to tell me everything. We operate like that. Again, like if you have negative symptoms for something, that's okay, right? Like, we're just here to get you the highest rating possible that you deserve, that you rate. We're not cheating the system. We're just efficiently squeezing the system on your behalf. And to piggyback off what Joel said, like, it sucks. That phase is hard. I literally sent out a message to the team today. I think that phase can be done within 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, right? That's, with staggered stuff, but like that's critical. That's the preparation. And when you think about those forms, the RFI form that we do, the request for information. So we kind of start broad. What are the biggest things that are going on? What do you want addressed in this process? And let me be clear, to everybody. And Joel, you can speak to it. If I'm lying, call me out or, going too far. It's just a starting point. I want to kind of keep it. What are your five biggest issues? Where did the VA screw you over? Or what are your biggest medical conditions that you think should be rated higher or we need to focus on? And then, so that's the starting point, get you writing, tell me your story, all that stuff. Then we do basically a large review of systems. For the medical people out there, you'll know what that is. But we're going to ask you every question on the book. Do you have this, this? Yes, no, yes, no. And based on that, we use that. It's not just some random kill time document. We will generate and create handcrafted questionnaires for you based on how you answer that. And I demand from the onboarding team and my team with any new client, don't bullshit those. Don't say you have something if you don't, because if you say you do, we're going down that pathway, right? Unless, we find like, hey, there's literally nothing there, like, we'll stop. But those questionnaires and those screening forms start the process because they're a prep for your personal statement. They're really training you to do the grunt work, to know how to tell your story at a mental health CMP exam that may be on a screen like this and is probably going to be on a telemedicine. If you've never done that, like that's hard in a 40-minute appointment to talk about everything. You haven't even thought about that stuff. So by doing this, we're kind of tricking you into remembering your story, and we use those documents and we cite them. Like I cite it like a doctor and a lawyer would. Now, it's subjective, a lot of it, right? And I say, Joel said on this year, this thing happened, and here's what he experienced from it, et cetera. And then I'll marry it up with the actual facts, the medical records, right? Got seen by these people in 2013, and here's what happened in his life that we can prove and documented, and, tell your story from a summary level for every condition, right? And that you're going for. And then it's like, now let's make the argument for what should be service connected and how much should he rate based on the VA's code. So like we have a recipe and a system, and I'm telling you all about it. Like if somebody wants to reverse engineer it and help veterans, go for it. You can't do it as well as we do because we've been doing this for a combined 30 years when you take every piece of our pie. I've been doing it for at least 12, right? Indirectly. I used to have people, Joel, when I would do med boards, I would have people come in to me, and I was so archaic, and it was like part of it was, maybe a little laziness. Like instead of taking like, tell me your entire life story, and then I write it down in the medical record. First of all, some people didn't trust it to be in the medical record, if you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Suicidality, homicidality, anhedonia, hating your life, alcohol. Like, how many times did people probably tell me, didn't use alcohol? No, but they're literally drowning in their problems, right? And this is a chance. And I would make people, when they come med board, I'd say, listen, do you trust me? And by that point, most people would. I said, get on a Word document. Don't send it via email, via the government systems. Tell me the truth. Don't lie, and write it on paper. And I'm going to use it for your med board. And before I submit your med board, like I'm going to get the okay with you, not to like edit it, but like, this is the reason why I think we should include this. Do you trust me? Because we should go this route. And that's what I've done here. It's the same thing I've been doing for 12 years. So we have so much experience in doing this. We may not have 1,000 reviews on Google yet. We probably will one day. 1,000 trust pilot reviews, all these things. But if you notice, they're all positive. I think we had one negative because, you know, they were upset that we were trying to push and sell our company. And they're like, oh, the salesperson was pushy. Yeah, we believe in what we do. You know what I'm saying? And like, I was actually the only negative review we've had. I'm proud of that one. Like, yeah, we apologize. Yeah, don't want you to feel pressured. However, legitimately, you need to sign up with us. Like, I'm not trying to just get your money. I want to change the momentum of this whole industry. So, um, you did the screening forms, you got some extra evidence. And that's the other thing. We sent you out to get evidence because we saw a gap. This is part of like the medical strategy. We're not telling you what to claim, so it's not illegal. It's like, hey, Joel, you say on these screening forms X, Y, and Z. We believe you because that's our contract. Like, you tell me the truth, we do the truth. Your record is thin. When was the last time you got seen for this condition? Well, not really ever. Not even really diagnosed, Joel, in your record. So go to your primary care. Here's a list of 10 big box places if you hate your primary care, don't have a primary care, or can't wait 6 months to see your primary care. We don't manipulate the medical evidence because that's what some companies do. They got a little template document mill factory. And I'm calling whoever out, like, if you're doing that, you know, you should reap the punishment coming because that's immoral, that's unethical, like that's crap, right? You go get seen by another provider because my role and our role at Semper is not to be your doctor. So there's a misconception, right? It's not to be your doctor, not because we can't. I can diagnose you with most any condition realistically. But if I do, I lose all credibility and independence when I draft up your master independent medical opinion. The I am up, independence, the first letter, I. If you breach that, and it's not even like, oh, I'd get in trouble, but like my system works and our system works because we're purists. Yeah, we're going to send you somewhere else that we don't control. We don't get paid. We don't get kickbacks from other companies to send you there, but we advise you. And then you have to say to us, I think that's a good idea. Or, nah, let's roll with it as it is. And say, okay, let's do it. Let's do what we got. Or let's take another couple weeks, go get seen by Minute Clinic, go get seen by your primary care, go get seen by somebody in your hometown. Like, I don't care who it is. I want it to be completely, I want to be blinded to it. And that's how this works. It takes a little more time, but that's how it works. So, what happened in your case? So, we got a little more evidence. We made a move. Your first claim with us, how was that? Because again, you have to file it because again, we're purists. We're not going to cheat. We're not going to, log into your va.gov for you. We don't have some Russian hacker system to do it for you. Like you did it. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so exactly what you had just said. Like you guys, you wanted another diagnosis from an outside doctor, went to go do that. So like definitely like this is like all legwork. Like it really is just a question of like how bad do you want this and like what are you like willing to do and like prioritize it really. Like I had to take some time off, sure, to go like do some of these appointments and all that, but you know
Did it
it's all
feel
part
like
of
a
the
wild did it feel like a wild goose chase? If it did, that's fine, but, like or was it
now.
targeted with an intent, right? Now you
Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
reason we
Like,
sent you there was because you had the symptoms.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Like, I
that's
didn't
why
want to.
we said, "Go get this."
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I did not want to. Like, I never felt lost. I never felt alone in this process. Like, hey, like these are some people you can go check out. Cool. Choose one of them. Went, did my thing, got my stuff from them, and then it was always like a quid pro quo kind of thing. So like your rep would give me these things, give him that, give me like, okay, let's move on. Let's go to the next step. Um, yeah, and then got my submitted my claim after that, and then got an increase to 80% at that point from 70.
Right? And so the first kind of toe in the water and, like, to everybody out there, like, we try to go for 100 because, again, we're not biased to slow play, right? We're not charging per document, charging per round. Like, sometimes it's wise and it's seemingly random, but sometimes it's wiser to have a few claims that you make to the VA. Sometimes it makes sense to go, grenade, flashbang, shotgun, breach the door, and claim 15 things, right? And that's what we're here to do. We're here to guide you on given your exact circumstance. There is no algorithm. There is no, magic, SOP. Like we're going to look at you as an individual and say, it's probably best to do this right now and then this. Like we're already thinking 4 steps ahead. And in our program, we build that in, right? Like our platinum highest level offer is accounting for the VA variability and the built-in screw job and just mistakes they make, right? We don't really make a lot of mistakes. Maybe we will, but that's not why we do it. We don't plan to fail. We are just realists, right? So if I'd offered Joel, a lower offer 1 round, so to speak, got passes rounds, and then he got to 80, well, did we come to you and say, hey, Joel, we're gonna need another couple $1,000, man. Like, hey, that's good. You got 10%. Like, it's great. Like, you get paid a little more. Like, put more money in the machine, right? Did did we do that to you or anybody?
No,
Hell no,
absolutely not.
because that's not our system. We charge up front so we can run the company, and then we're lean enough and agile enough and not overwhelmed with overhead to where like we're skating by. We have enough to then own you and your claims until we get it done through a number of passes, right? And I've done the math. Like some company will say, "Oh, we'll stick with you till you get to 100." Well, as I said earlier, some people aren't going to ever get to 100, right? Like that's a fact. However, I've found doing, and I tabulated it the other day. I have worked with 2,785 clients when I did this, like clients, number of people. The number of claims, I don't have the number, but it has to be over 10,000 number of claims processed to the VA. So I'm talking from experience and not ego. I'm just telling you, like, it takes, depending on the situation, and it doesn't just mean raw number. If you're at 10, some people go from 10 to 100, depending on the details, right? I need to know the details to be able to guide you. It's not like, oh, all people with this condition will get this. And that'd be bullshit and lying. I'm sure a lot of companies do that. We'll get you to 70 mental health. We'll do this. We'll do migraines 50, sleep apnea 50, 100, right? I got to look at the details because what if you don't really have sleep apnea, right? You think you do. And they're, oh, yeah, we'll get you diagnosed with sleep apnea. What if you didn't? What if you don't really have migraines? What if you've got TBI, post traumatic headaches? Like those details matter. If you claim migraines, it ain't going to work. What if you don't have PTSD and you've been denied for PTSD for years and you just have really severe depression and anxiety? But because you never knew to claim other things, you're denied for mental health, right? Like we're not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. We are building your claims with thought and like surgically, tactically. Like that's what we do. And, you know, we didn't charge Joel or anyone extra money because he signed up for the program, the passes. He came on, and what did we do? So he got to 80. Did you feel like we were like, all right, bye, man? Or did we get on your ass to go get more?
Oh
Yeah, did we
yeah,
have some
it
stuff
was.
going on? Tell people how we roll with that
Oh,
kind of
it
stuff.
was definitely just like let's keep going, and I never
Yeah,
felt like you guys were just gonna kick me to the curb or any of that stuff. Like, you know, like I can't express like how much of just an enjoyable experience it was because like it felt when I wasn't talking to you, like your reps, like they felt like friends. And so they were just like, all right, cool. Like let's hammer it out. You know, progress is still progress. And that's what it really was just it's not an overnight instant easy button. Like you have to put in the work. And I was willing to do that. And I was just like assisted with you and your team. Like I just
of
you
humans, right?
guys are the best.
Like, I appreciate it, man. I think we're the best too. I do. Like, I'm not even like joking about it. Like,
No,
I think we're the best company
I
out
do too.
there, bar none. Prove me wrong, right? Like, how many companies have an MD that is former military that did over 10 years, surgical background, operational background, like seen the GMO world, seen the med boards. You can get a neurosurgeon that doesn't know what a fucking med board is, and that's great because he didn't have to worry about it. I got the best and worst of all of it, and I got the empathy because I saw it. That's why I tell that front story so that like people hear me. Like I am not reading from a script. I am not containable, like by anyone. But I have the experience and I'm a little cocky, but I stay within my bounds. I'm ethical. I'm state licensed. I'm credentialed. And like, show me another company that has that in the core of it, not as a subcontracted unit. And like, I've worked for some other companies. I won't say the names, uh, but they did quite well, with me. And even some of the law firms, their clients do great, right? Like we've had great feedback and they send us more clients. Well, I have been a contractor for many people. We'll say it like that. And the reality is that I saw a gap in how businesses are run. And they train doctors not to know anything about business, right? That's like part of it is like the machine can own physicians and surgeons because medical school trains you to be, the Hippocratic method, which is great, but it also trains you to be a slave or an indentured servant, right? Keep you just fat enough and happy, make you a couple $100,000, or if you're a surgeon, $500,000 a year to just do as you're told. Bill Medicare what the hospital and the government tells you, and then, oh, lo and behold, all those years that I was preaching it back in med school saying, Ron Paul's right, the Affordable Care Act is the opposite of the Affordable Care Act. The the Patriot Act ain't patriotic. Like, the Take Care of America Act, TCAVA, the new thing, like, is literally fucking veterans over. Like, you can base what a bill is named, you can expect the opposite, and it's usually more accurate. But I was right because now, current event, orthopedic surgeons, because I'm an orthopedic guy, that's my field, total joints are going to get reimbursed 20% less in 2027 than they did in 2026 from Medicare. So what are you going to do? Not take Medicare patients because you have to sign the dotted line at the beginning of the year. You agree to this rate and price. And they just gave you a 20% pay cut. So welcome to the government corporate medical cabal. And I'm outside of it. And I've never been happier to be outside of it because, for a long time, I wanted to try to change it through, political action and just, awareness. But like, we're doomed in our country in many ways. We're doomed, but it doesn't mean that we give up. And it doesn't mean that, we're probably not going to vote our way out of any of these issues. Not going to happen. Government's going to get bigger. Debt's going to get higher. Wars are going to increase, whether it's red, blue side, or purple side. We're owned. So the best thing we can do right now is tell people the truth, wake people up, red pill everybody, but don't bullshit but you can't go black pill. Yeah, we're doomed, but we still have fight in us. We still have life in us. We still have your situation, like doom scrolling and worrying about Iran and all this shit. Like that triggers me. Like, because again, like I love history and economics and the US petrodollar. Like I know all about that shit, Federal Reserve. So like I can find myself getting ill going down those rabbit holes. It's like, stop. Like, yeah, I want to know the details. I want to stay on abreast of everything for sure. But what's the best thing I can do? And what anybody can do out there, if you're a mechanic, be the best damn mechanic in the world you can. If you're a husband, be the best partner in the world. Be a dad, be involved. Like, I get to coach my kids' baseball travel team. Like, if you'd have told me 65 years ago that I would ever get remarried, that I would be doing VA disability claims, because all I wanted to do when I got out was go into orthopedics and finish my last little year of training. I have to move again, but I was burned out. I worked 100-hour weeks for almost a decade, and I was like a poor doc. Like I liked it. I was a workaholic. I loved it, and I was good at it. But I ran into the beast, and I many years ago I said I'll never be thankful for the bullshit I had to deal with. I'm pretty close to saying I'm thankful for it. Like this may be the first time I mean it. Like maybe I'll do it right here. I'm actually thankful for what some people did to me and put me through and what God had intended for me. Because you have to believe that is like, if I was working for a hospital, I probably couldn't talk about Jesus or I couldn't talk about God. I probably get some looks. Like, I don't give a fuck. That's the truth, is that everything happens for a reason. And I'm thankful for it. Like,
Amen.
I'm legitimately thankful for all the shit that I had to endure and get through because it made me be able to help more people. And that sounds like it's canned. It's not. It's from my soul. So what I'm building, what this team is building here is something different. So if you hear me out there, like hearing a clip or that, like I'm telling you, like if you want a company that's Christ-centered, honest, has the credentials, and is gonna follow through and treat you like a brother or a sister, you found the right place. Get off my pulpit, but I've been on the pulpit sometimes, brother. So we didn't charge you extra because we don't do that. That's usury. What happened from 80 to where we're having this conversation today?
A lot more groundwork, going to my appointments, getting some did I get denied? I think I got denied once.
You did.
And then yeah, and then doing more appointments, getting
Did we give up when you got denied on that condition, on that thing?
no, No, it
What
was
happened with
just
that? Can you speak to that? Like, do you wanna I mean, I don't wanna get into your medical history unless you want to, but can you kinda give a like, to the audience, you're gonna get denied, folks, even with my stuff. We're not perfect, and the VA certainly ain't. What did we
yeah.
do with your denial? What was the case?
If I remember correctly, it was I want to say, oh, man, I'm like really reaching here because this is like it's all a blur. Uh,
Was it like a GI condition, I think,
yeah,
that
it
got,
was.
like,
Yeah,
maybe
they completely missed it. They didn't even address it
yeah, like, so
and
yeah, like, didn't like, he claimed it, and then the VA didn't even, like, adjudicate it.
acknowledge it.
It's as if he didn't click it. I
Yeah,
mean, I wasn't there when he clicked it, but, like, presumably he clicked it
no,
as a claim.
it says in my paperwork it was right there, and they just never even acknowledged it. And so we went back and kept on doing it, fighting for more, and then they finally acknowledged it. And then from there, um, I was misdiagnosed with something else that got changed. And then,
Because we petitioned them. We wrote a new letter. And again, when I say things are not templated, like, I don't just write Nexus letters. I say Nexus letters to people because that's their vernacular and they understand that. Mm. But I don't write Nexus letters. I write n there will be Nexus components within my letter all through it, right, for the things where it needs to be. But I'm speaking to the VA raters and reviewers directly. I'm throwing my credentials on the table, and then I'm walking them through how they fucked up for you professionally, very respectfully, Dr. Wilyonson. Like, putting my name and my licenses on the line because I have the facts. Like, you don't need to go to a higher level review or a board review. Like, that's a waste of time for most people. There are scenarios, but we literally turned back around and said, I cite their own stuff. So, if you get a ratings decision letter out there, they're on va.gov for everybody. Make sure the first thing you do when you come on board, I'm going to say, and our team is going to say, download all your ratings decision letters. We'll show you how to do it. We want them because that's the key. If you make a misargument or you cheat somebody, you underrate somebody, or you make some bullshit, they template stuff. The VA is the templaters. Trust me, I've read 10,000 RDLs for 10,000 conditions, 3 or 4,000 actual RDLs. They are the masters of the same exact template. Like gun decking, like Joel and I were, corpsman and doc in the military. You don't think we know? Like when I look at a medical record and my like HN says like, no, 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 and I go in and the dude's like chocked full of shit and like suicidal. Like, did you really fucking ask him, or were you asking those questions with your head aside and you've already got it filled out? We don't gun deck. That's why it takes longer. And so we attacked his issue not with well, we'll just send the same letter again or just kind of rewrite it a little bit. No, I'm like, VA, here's this guy again. Hey, it's me again, Dr. Wilyonson. Here's who I am. Like, he submitted this. Here was the backstory case, and like more summarized this time. And then it's like, you sent him an RDL, a ratings decision letter, the adjudication saying this, that, and the other. And here was the rationale that you put on this RDL. And it makes zero sense. Or in his case, you know, you didn't even weigh in. Like, not only should you approve it, but you need to backdate it. Like, I write that way. Like, your letters, y'all, we call them IMOs, independent medical opinions on everything, Nexus letter components, but like they are gold because they're true. And again, written, some of the lawyers joke with me is like you write like a lawyer and like, did you go to law school? Do you want to go to law school? Like, kind of joking with me a little bit. And I'm like, don't need to, right? Like, in today's world, like with our firewall proprietary. It's proprietary. It ain't ChatGPT. I ain't telling you what to use and what we use. And some pretty high level shit is that I have trained my brain and my experience with data in a firewalled system. So it's not open sourced. None of your documents you send us are open sourced. They are HIPAA protected, SOC 2 compliant, all the different acronyms. Your shit's safe with us. But I have used that data and those things to train with my experience and my style with, 10,000 different claims over the years because I saved, the ones I did, and I don't have all of them, but especially the ones I've done on my own as an independent contractor. And I've trained my brain into an agent with me. Now, it doesn't mean I just write a letter for Joel. Like, no, no, no. like the prompt and the skills I've developed with this proprietary system, and we pay for it. Like that's where your money goes to some degree, is that we're using the most advanced AI systems to augment what we do and what I do. We do not lean on it as a crutch. We use it as a weapon versus the VA that's fact checked, that finds everything that I need. And like, trust me, I'm on it. Like when I'm training my stuff, and I train it every day. It's like, "Ah, I don't like this. I don't like what you did there. Why'd you do that?" And like, I'm an asshole to it, and it loves me, like, by default because we pay for it. But like, I'm to everybody out there, I'm your asshole with the VA. So we got Joel 70 to 80 to 90. And I really remember the most recent thing because we were close. And it's like there's some people that like need a break. And they're like, like I don't have the goods. And in that case, I would say, okay, like you still have another couple passes. And like the truth out there is, and I don't want to spill the beans too much, but if anybody watches this long in the video, you've deserved it. Um, but the truth is that, you know what? Like if we get you close and like you've been a good client and you're respectful and you have the goods or you plan on getting the goods and you have a plan, I'll keep going with you. Whether it's 4 passes, 5 passes, another rebuttal letter. Like I don't want to tell people that we will stay with you till 100 because that implies that we're guaranteeing you to get 100. I'm not guaranteeing anybody 100. But we treat people well, and like with Joel, it wasn't an issue, because we did it in the number of passes, but never had somebody not get increased with our system. So we tell back 100, my man, like all this leading up to the debrief, Semper Solutus, Doc, Joel, victory, 100%. Tell me the story, Rudy. Let's go. Rudy.
So went to my last DBQ exam, and then it was just obvious, checking the box appointment. I had to drive 2 hours to go to the appointment. I was like, really? Went back, got home, and then waited, and waited. And finally last week, Tuesday or Wednesday, I was on the phone with my sister, as a matter of fact, and I get a message and told me, hey, like the VA's made your decision. So here I am all nervous. Oh my gosh. Click on it, and there it is, 100%. Like I welled up with tears, just joy and relief. It was a weight lifted. Um, I told my sister, I gotta go. I gotta let you go right now. Ran downstairs, looked my wife in the eyes, and just like hugged her and just let her know like what had happened. And like we were just in celebration mode at that time, and just called my mom, called my sister, just like just so much relief, like I can't even explain to you how grateful and thankful I am for the whole entire process. And just as I can't even explain it. Like I'm still in awe. Like I still don't believe it almost.
When I saw my ratings, I did the same thing, and I've heard a lot of people say that too, that I talked to after the fact and debrief with, that it's like they made a mistake. Oh my god, and then when it kicks in, like, it's not a dream, it's real, it's not a mistake, it's not a trap, it's a trap. Like, it's like the biggest weight lifted that you didn't know you had. Maybe you knew you had it, but it's like a different because it's P&T. Because when it's like, when you do it the hard way, so to speak, with, like, multiple conditions, a lot of people have the question out there, and I've seen it a million times on Facebook or Reddit and all places, like, "Well, what's the difference between 100% and P&T?" And the answer is how you get there. The way that we design our program to do it is to sequentially add, and when you do it our way, when you get 100%, it's P&T, permanent and total, meaning you don't ever have to deal with the VA stuff again. And, with the current events too, like trying to get the Richard Starr Act combined with the new Take Care of the American Veterans Act, whatever they want to call it. Um, they're going to come after sleep apnea for some of you guys. If you do another, CMP exam or another claim, they're going to just retroactively change it unless you're at 100% PNT or you don't ever make another claim again. So they're smart. They know what they're doing. That's a brilliant chess move because that's what this is. This is chess with a pretty good chess player, but they do this. You can see their patterns, what they're going to do. So you can beat them at chess if you've played chess with them enough, and I have. And it's not checkers. A lot of people are going to tell you it's checkers to get you to pay money or sign a contract for back pay. Like it's not checkers. You may get lucky, and that's great. Like you just moved the pieces and you were playing chess, you didn't even know it. Like great, you did it on your own. Wonderful. I love it when people win with truth, but it's hardcore chess. And his case, Joel's case, is evidence of that. And now it's over. You don't have to ever go through the scrutiny again. And some people will say, well, hey, now I want to add in the SMK stuff, FMCK, like erectile dysfunction and some of these other issues. You can do that, but you're opening up a window for scrutiny, right? And if they've changed the law on tinnitus or sleep apnea, which they're proposing, and then you get a little greedy and you go for something else to try to like add it in. If you need to do it, if it's a cancer or something that you need to get connected, that's going to like change your life, in a good way that you need, to be paid for. Because if you die of one of those service connected conditions or complications of, your family will get paid differently and better, right? Versus just the compensation. So, there are circumstances that it makes sense, but if you're just doing it to get another 150 bucks for erectile dysfunction from the VA, do it at your own risk. And I probably won't even submit that claim with people. I would say I so strongly advise you against it that you need to do that on your own. I don't support it. Like you can do it, but again, people usually listen because they realize I'm right. So, winning is big. All the other benefits too, right? Like we don't have to name them all. Like we have resources too. And this is something like to tell you, Joel, like if you haven't, because you get that celebration, then you kind of like wait for that first check, whether it's a back pay check or that forever, 40 something $100 a month tax free. But like the property tax exemptions, you got to go down to the tax collector in your city or your town and you got to file paperwork. So we have resources to help you do that, right? We literally, like, in addition just to using our brilliant AI to like leverage my brain and our capabilities with your letter, we also have literally built apps that nobody's really using yet. Cause I mean, they're kind of like, I'd say beta tests really, but they're so good because I use them. Is Compass, which is like reference and source controlled ChatGPT. Now, again, it's like still firewalled. So if you put in one of your documents, like it's not going anywhere. But it's better than ChatGPT because there's no hallucinations, there's no fluff. Like we have an AI program that's not open source that you can use called Compass. Everybody should be using that if you sign up. And guess what? It's free if people want to use it. All you got to do is go to sempersolutus.com, go down to the tools tab, and use it. It's like a web program. You don't have to download anything. You just literally use it, right? But once you email, yeah, we're going to hit you up, say, can we help you? I'm not going to lie. Yeah, we're absolutely going to. We're not going to harass you, but you should do it. We have VetHub Pro, best calculator in the market. It's free. VetHub, I can even call it VetHub Lite because Pro's got some like other features that, use a lot of credits and stuff for like, if you want to combine your PDFs, like no, I've always had trouble with that. Like we have a tool for that for you to do. Like we got all the calculators, all the benefits, VRNE. Like we will get you hooked up with what you need, GI bill questions, and not just like, oh, here's a web page. Like our team is going to help you if you want it, Joel, with anything you need related to this stuff. Like you're part of the family. Like that's my promise to everybody. So get on there, use it. But you know, I talk a little more than I usually do. Maybe people would laugh, say I always do, but like, if you can't tell, like, I'm fired up, and not just because Joel's a colleague of mine and friend of mine. Um, it's because I like winning. I'm super competitive, and I'm going to be competitive for anybody out there. Um, it means a lot because it takes a lot of work, right? But we're growing. We're growing fast. We don't screen ratings. We don't, cheat reviews. We don't do that kind of stuff. Like, check us out. Get on a call with us. Like we got some pretty good ads and stuff. We got testimonials. It's all real. We're all real people. We're very well staffed, right? If you want somebody that's a veteran to help you, like our team is veterans, right? On this team. The ones who help you know this up, down, back, forth, left, right, R1, L1. Like we know it. And you're going to talk to a human, right? You're not going to talk to some outsourced civilian tech bro who's reading off a script. You're not going to get outsourced to the Philippines in your data safe or some AI generated response. Yeah, we got AI, but that's not how we talk to people, right? We know what our people want because we are our people. Semper Solutus is of, by, and for veterans. And that's a catchy phrase, but it's true. We are all veterans for the most part. We have a couple, second degree, Kevin Bacon phenomenon veteran guys on our team, which is great, but they know the system too. But we practice what we preach. So if you want to deal with veterans that also has the medical and legal and administrative angles, Semper Salutis, give us a try, give us a call. Joel, thank you for the time. Do you have anything you want to say in closing or
There's no other better people to help you guys with your claims. Like anybody out there, this is it. Like you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money if you go anywhere else. Like you guys are the best. Thank you.
you're very welcome. It's my pleasure. I would just say my charge to you is just be the best man you can be. Share the word, about the company, but realistically just help people. If it involves VA disability stuff, great. If it doesn't, so what? Be involved. Use this as an opportunity to better your family, better yourself, your education, not just your bank account. That's great. Make great decisions with it. Take care of your family and be a blessing to other people. That's my charge to you, really. And no matter what, that is the butterfly effect that ripples.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Godspeed. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.